Well, hello. Today we're going to do a little bit different thing than I normally do. I do a lot of artistic boxes, and I sell these things. And my shtick, if you might want to say it, is my inlays that I do inside of the boxes. That's what gives it the value added. But you know, you run out of colors and you run out of patterns maybe that you want to put on here. So I was thinking, you know, I've been 3D printing for about a year or two, and why not 3D print the inlay and see how that looks. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the process of creating first of all, the 3D STL file for the object that I'm going to inlay. Then we're going to show how I'm doing the inlay, produce the 3D object on the printer, and then finish the product and see what happens. It may be a bust, or it may be something that I'll be doing a lot more in the future. So without much to do, we're going to start by doing the drawing of the cat or whatever it is. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to use some of the drawings that I already have for my inlays, export that out as a DXF, put that into Fusion 360 or any CAD package that you have, create a three-dimensional object out of that, and then go ahead and print that on the 3D printer. So we're going to start now. In order to get a 3D STL image, I first start off with, you know, a generic drawing. Now, my drawing program I use is Lightburn. And what I want to do today is we're going to do two different ways to get this done. First of all, what I'm going to use right away is one that I've already done. And this is a cat drawing. And I use this on a lot of my boxes. It's pretty standard. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, in order to convert it to an STL, I'm going to take it as a file and I'm going to export. And I'm going to export this as a DXF, as you can see down here. And I'm going to call it cat2. Save that away. So that's with a drawing that I've already got. Now let's say I want the new drawing and I just got a JPEG. So what I'll do here is I'll do a file, import, and I'll bring in a JPEG. Let's see. Let's try this cat silhouette, see what that looks like, if that's what I want. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so I got this is a regular JPEG, and it's black and white, stencil format. In Lightburn, all I got to do is hit Alt-T, and what that will do is it'll trace the outline. Now that looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to move this someplace clean, and you can see that it's outlined, and I'm going to change its color to blue, maybe to bring it out a little bit more. Okay, so here it is. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to do File, Export, and I'm going to export it as Cat's Love. Okay, so now I got the DXF file. So my next step is then to reduce this and bring in Fusion 360. And in Fusion 360, we're going to import the DXF file. So that should be pretty simple. Okay, once it's up, I'm going to go to top. So I orient myself to the top face. There we go. I'm glad I'm up to date. And I'm going to do a file. And I'm going to open. I'm going to open from my computer. And I got this cats too. So I'm going to open that up. And bingo, there it is. So this is the DXF drawing over here. Now the next thing I needed to do is extrude that. So I'm going to make it a three-dimensional object. So I hit the right key, extrude, and I've learned that around 2 millimeters, no more than 2 millimeters, is about the value that I need. So once I got that, bang, there's the 2 millimeters. And sure enough, if I do an orbit on it, you can see that it's a three-dimensional object. Okay, now I got that done. The next thing to do is I want to print that. Now I could save this away if I so desire, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go directly to um, print this out. So let's get the front view again. Let's line it up a little bit better. There we go. Okay. So in order to print this right away, I do a File, 3D Print. Now what am I going to print? I'm going to print this object, so I got to select it. And I've already got my 3D printer here that I'm going to export to, which is my Bamboo Studio. So I'll say OK. So that now should bring up the Bamboo Studio. And if I do a Control-0, that lines it up for me. And there's my 3D print of the cat that I just did. And you can see that it has some thickness to it. Now I've already, let's sync up the filaments that I have on my printer. And you can see I have these choices of what to print with. But I'm just going to print with the basic PLA. And even though it says green here, I have a black one up there. So I'm going to do a preview on here. And sure enough, the preview is done. It's not a very difficult thing to do. And if you look over here on your right-hand side, it says that it takes approximately 10 minutes or 11 minutes to finish this off. So the only thing I need to do is just tell it to go. And I'm going to do that by saying print plate. Now it's going to give me a couple of capabilities. And I think I'm going to do a time lapse on this, even though it's pretty short, and send it to the printer. Okay, so it's sent off to the printer. Everything looks good, and according to everything I set up, it's going to start printing. Now I'm going to back out of here because it takes a while for the Bamboo Labs guy to even start up anything. So I'm going to ignore that for now. And let's do another one. It's that love one that we did. So I'm going to shut this guy down. I'm going to say new design, open, and it was Cat's Love. Open from my computer. There it is, Cat's Love. Let's do that one. Okay, same thing. I'm going to select it, right click, do an extrude, and I'm going to do 2 millimeters, no more than that. And say OK. So if I do an orbit here, you can see that it is a two-dimensional at 2 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to hit the escape key to get out of the orbit. And I can once again click on this, say 3D print. And since I've already clicked on it, it knows what I want to 3D print. And I'm going to say OK. Now, I've already sent one job to the printer, so I'm not going to send this job to the printer. But you can see that it sure enough is three-dimensional. Control-0 again. It's three-dimensional. And if I say preview, it's going to say, okay, this one takes me 20 minutes and 20 seconds to do. So that's how easy it is. So to recap, what we want to do is input a DXF, and we can input a DXF by creating a DXF like I did, or if you just happen to have a DXF from a CAD program, that's fine. Import that into your drawing program, extrude it to the depth that you want. Then the last thing you do is send it over to your print program. Very simple. Okay, so this is the top that I've already done, and yeah, it's cherry, so I had to redo the size of the hole. And one of the things that I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to take this toothbrush and just real quickly just clean out the hole, make sure everything is pretty clean. And this is already ready to go. I've already sanded it down with my 120 and then 220, and maybe I did a little touch up with 400 on this thing. So this is ready to go on here. And this is the 2mm cap that we've just did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Gorilla Glue, not a lot. I'm just going to put a little bit here in the center because we don't want that squeezed out all over the place. And that's going to create an utter mess. And I don't like more mess than I already have in my shop. I'm just going to spread out the glue just a little bit, being very careful I don't glob anything. Okay, so that should be it. I don't care about the tail. We're going to have a friction thing anyways. Okay, here we go. So very carefully I'm just going to put it in. Now nothing's happened yet, so I'm going to take a piece of iPay, which is pretty hard, and okay, so if I did my job right, we will now have the black hat flush with the surface of the wood, and a little bit of glue in there will just make sure that it's there. Now we shouldn't have a problem because it's going to be tight anyways. So, okay, stop banging, stop banging. I'm happy with this. This looks pretty good for me. And now the next thing I would do is I would just lacquer it. And when I apply the lacquer, well, I'm going to do an oil finish first. And then once I get the oil done, then I'm going to lacquer it. And it's going to turn out really, really nice. I'll guarantee that. So that's one way that you can do this type of stuff. The other way, you know, if you just use your JPEG images and do your traces and extrude, they make nice little pendants that you can hang from a nylon string and just have them float in the air or whatever. There's a lot of things that you can do with this, but I think this is a good project and it's pretty simple. We'll see how this sells. I'll tell you what, before we let you go, let's oil it just to see how it's going to look. So I'm going to put a little oil on it and see what happens here. Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, but that's okay. I've tried lacquering one of these before and absolutely no problems with the PLA. If you use PETG, you might be able to get a glossier surface by fuming it, and it has a little bit of more resilience than the PLA, so it would more tightly fit into a smaller little shape. That's up to you, but I'm happy with this, and I can't wait to see the final product. All right, thank you for watching.